Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this series, we'll be learning to create a dynamic data table component with Laravel and Vue.js. So we'll be getting deeper and deeper into the concepts of the components and how to reuse them across the different applications. So let's get started without any delay. So for this purpose, I have created a new Laravel application using Laravel installer and then made some changes into it. So let's see. So the main change is we have created a database called the Laravel table and updated the .env file as per our need. The next thing what we need to do is to make changes on the users table migration, because Laravel by default provides this migration to us and is easier for us to make some changes. So let's see, we have added a new line over here which says add a new column into the table with the name of the address. So let's run the migration so that the schema is created. So as you can see, so we have added this new table to our database. Next we need to do is to update our user factory so that it will include address field and we can run the seeder to seed the data into the database as per our need. So for this, let's open this file user factory, and then we have added a new line over here which simply says for the field address we need to define some fake addresses using this faker library. So next we need to make changes on the database seeder. So this is provided to Laravel on default on installing the applications. So it simply says we need to seed the data into the database using this user factory. So instead of 100, let's seed some 500 users to the table. So we can run the command php artisan dv seed, which is the simple command to run. So database seeding has been completed successfully, and let's check the number of the users over here. As you can see that the number of the users are added over here. So 500 is a good number, and while playing with the pagination and the searching and the other sorting functionalities, that will be really useful to us. So this faker library is awesome, so we are happy with this. So let's get started. So as you can see, so what we are trying to achieve is that first of all we'll create an API which will be something like this. So instead of doing this on the web.php, let's do on the api.php, because we want to implement the modern concept of the web application development where the API is consumed by the front-end application. So our route will be something similar to this. So the method will be get and the path will be API/users, where we will be passing the different parameters like paginate is equal to true, and we'll pass some other fields like search query, maybe let's name this query as ABC, and the sorting of the field needs to be true, and the field name of the field which needs to be field is sorted is something like name, and the order also can be defined over here, whether the order needs to be done in the ascending one or the descending one. So this is just this simple concept. So first of all, let's create an controller for that. So as you can see, we already have been provided with the basic controller which extends the base controller. So using Laravel's command, artisan command, let's generate a controller. So what is the command? php artisan make controller and the name of the controller is users controller. And let's see if we have some other options, like we want to build it for the API, so let's provide the flag of the API. So as you can see, so we have been provided with users controller. It's the new controller that we have added under the namespace of app http and controllers. So let's make it simple. We will not be focusing on the architecture or something like that. Just let's make it simple. So simply, so this is our controller. So let's say when the index method is provided, so let's, for trial, let's just implement this. We'll be returning all the users, and then within this place from the controller, so let's add a new field, something like this. Let's say for the users, so Laravel's new command or the new way of coding is something different than what we used to have in the previous versions. So let's get into the documentation and let's go into the routing section. Okay, let's see. So the basic routing, we already know this. The closure is provided. So what we can do is that the route get the path that we like to access, and then we need to provide the name of the class, and then we need to specify the mention as well. So in our case, we have user controller class, and then the method that we would like to access is index. So let's import this into top into this file so that the code looks cleaner. So let's boot our server using the command php artisan serve. So we'll be using Laravel Valet in the coming videos, but for now let's use Laravel's default server. So we can see that application is booted, or it's loaded on the port 8000, and the route that we are interested on is API/users. So as you can see, the data is provided to us, but we are not interested on this. We are interested on something more deeper. So we want this data to be formatted. So for that purpose, we will be using Laravel resource so that it will work as formatter for us, because we do not need these particular fields. We need to make some changes onto the format. So we'll work on that. And also we need paginated data, and we'll provide a particular JSON response format for it as well. So for now, let's keep it simple. When the user provides this particular URL, when he tries to access this, so he will be redirected to index method of the users controller. So let's get started. So we want some paginated data to be returned to the user. So the concept is really simple using this command. So let's say the user let's provide this thing. So let's say this method paginate is provided by Laravel's ORM to us. So upon hitting the same URL, you can see that the response format is changed. So this is done something. This is one of the crazy and the wonderful things that Laravel provides to us. So you can see that the current page is 1. So we do have 10 items in this, and the URL for the first page, second page is also provided, and the total records that we have in our database is 500. So let's say let's make changes into this. I have no idea this works or not. Let's go to the page number 3. Yes, it's working perfectly fine. We are on the page number 3, and we can see the data are filtered. So that was the basic idea of the implementation of pagination. So let's go back to my article and let's see what we had done. So first of all, as I spoke to you, we need to make a transformer file. So Laravel uses the concept of the resource for transforming the data, so which will be really useful for the consumers. Let's say our API needs to be consumed by the mobile or some other applications which is using React or Angular or something else, and for them we need to prepare the data so that it is easier for them to consume. So for that particular reason we'll be creating a new resource called user resource. So PHP artisan make resource and its user resource. It is as simple as it is. So user resource, so it's located under app http resources user resource. As you can see, it's located under the http section and the user resource. So what we need to do is, let's transform our data. So for this I'll be copying the code from my previous article because this makes easier to save the time. So as you can see, for the name we are not making any changes, the email is same, and address we are returning the data as it is, and for the created ad we are making use of the carbon and making it simple. So as you can see, this is the data that we have got. So now we need to make changes on the user's controller so that it makes the use of the user resource. So this can be done really easily. So first of all, let's fetch all the users. So user paginate, for now let's get the data with the length of 10 per page, and then we can simply return user resource, and then we need to pass the collection and where you need to pass all the users. So it is as simple as it is. So as you can see that PHP Storm is bargaining with us, saying that the return value is not correct. So let's make changes into this, because PHP 8 is type strict, so we need to make changes onto this as well. So let's format our code using PHP Storm, and then let's try to access the data again. So for this we need to boot our application once more, and you can see that the response format is changed at the moment. So this is the beauty of Taylor Otwell's Laravel and Laravel resource. As you can see, all the data it's located inside this particular field, which is array of the 10 items, and then all the links are provided over here, and the meta, it stores the information about pagination. So we need to be really careful in this point, because we'll be using the same data, and this will be very important for us when we will be using or implementing this API in front end. So this is what we have got. So now let's make some further changes. So till this point what we have achieved is, we have achieved simply we are able to get the paginated data, but still there are few things that are remaining for us. So first thing that we want to implement is the sorting functionality. So sorting functionality is something that we want badly. So let's start to implement this sort functionality. So as I said earlier, so for this we need to make some changes in the URL, or let's say in the request. So the user provides this particular URL, and then he needs to provide some additional data to the API, so that if the API understands what the user is trying to get from me, and based upon this user's requirement the data will be changed to him. So for this I want to provide two fields. So the first thing is field, let's name this as field. So it basically means the field that I want to sort, and for example the name is the field that I want to sort is name, and the order is something like ASC or DESC. So let's make it simple and then let's try to check. So first of all, just to make sure that everything is working fine, let's just die and dump the every request that we get. So as you can see, so there are two data provided to us. The first one is field and order. So to make it simpler or to make it more readable, let's make the name as sort underscore field and the order as sort underscore order, ORDR. So the user needs to the API consumer, the front-end application, whether it is view or mobile application, needs to follow this pattern, that the fields they want to sort needs to be provided with this name. So let's, without any delay, let's quickly move on to this. So we do have this class users controller. So let's make a new field protected. So it is simply array. I don't know. So they make something like sortings. Okay. Okay, I don't think this is needed. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, so sorting is really simple within Laravel. So the ORM is user, and then order by, so this is the particular thing. So these are the two things that we need to get. The first one is, so let's inject the request over here just to make it simple. So what we need to get is request input, and the field is sort underscore field, and the order of the sorting needs to be done as request input and the sort underscore order, and then we will implement pagination to this field. So simply let's just copy this thing and chain with this method. So as you can see, we are simply trying to order the users with the field sort by, and then the order needs to be done by the field sort underscore order, and per page we are getting the 10 data. So let's try to fetch this again. So as you can see that something is happening. You can see that the first name is displayed as Alia, something like that. It's starting from A, and let's make it descending. So in this case you can see that the Zora Hansen. So as you can see that the sorting functionality is working. So let's say sometimes if the user provides some unwanted fields, let's say instead of name he says sex, something which is not available in our data, means in our table. So in that case we get such error. So we want to handle this as well, because as a good API developer or as a good developer we need to handle all these errors. So for this let's make some changes into the code. So I will define a new variable. So let's make it sort field, and then what I need to do is there is array function arrayGet, and then where we can pass particular array which I was trying to do. So let's define a protected field. So what is the field? Let's name is add sort to fields. So okay, let's make it simple. So I was trying to make it something okay, let's make it simple. Okay, let's make it simple. So these are the only fields that will be allowed to sort it. So the name of the fields are name, and then the next one is address, I don't think, and the next one needs to be email. So these are the only three fields that will be allowed to update it. So what we can do is we can just use PHP 8's okay, switch to PHP 7.4. so we do not want this, so we are ignoring this for the moment. And then this needs to be imported and updated in the database, sorry, in the doc block. So over here what we are trying to do is, so we will be using the function in array. So let's say we'll be comparing the provided this input with this array. If the provided input exists in our array, then it's okay, we'll sort with that field. But in case when the user provides some naughty data or the nonsense data like this, the field which is not available, in that case we need to provide a default sorting mechanism. So let's say so in array, so what we are trying to check is request input sort underscore field, if this is available in these sort fields. So in this case sort field will be the same one, request input sort underscore field, else we will simply make it to name, and then we need to update this field as well, sort field, and let's define this, or let's extract this into the another variable as well, so that it will be easier for us in the coming videos. Sort order, so we can simply save this over here, and the second field that we need to pass is the sort order. So let's try again. So as you can see, when the user provides some nonsense data or it tries to place without database, so in that case the user is being sorted with the default field, which is name in our case. So let's say the user provides the data email, so in that case you can see that the data is being sorted perfectly. So currently the data is sorted in the descending order, and we can search it in ascending order as well. So this is the second functionality that we implemented over here. So let's extract this into another method, because let's make it simple. Okay, let's make it really simple. So first of all, let's copy this over here and extract it into another method. Sort field input, let's name it like this. Let's try to make it simple, and then request input sort field, and in case okay, I will try to make this simpler. So in case these sort fields and sort to field input, if it exists, in that case we'll be returning the same, else we'll be returning the name. So let's try. I think we should not get any issue if sex is provided. So in this case the name is being taken. So let's format our code, because we want to make our code beautiful. So till now we already have implemented the pagination functionality, and the next one is the sorting functionality. So the last thing that we want to implement in this API section is the implementation of the searching function. Let's implement the search functionality. So as said earlier, we want to make changes in the request. First of all, let's plan that we'll be providing input request or input field query parameters with the name of the search, and the value can be anything. So let's get started. So first of all, let's say search input is something that we get from the request, and this is search. So in case of the field search input is not null, we'll make some changes into our code. So when this field is provided, so first of all let's make some changes. Search query is something like this: percentage search input. Okay, so when this search input is not empty, in that case query will be something like query where name like the provided search query. So this is the first field. So when this search is provided, we need to check whether the provided search exists in our name column, or where instead of name the next field that we have is email. We'll be passing the same thing for this, or for the last field, which is or where address is something like the provided search query. So we'll just format the code. If you are not able to see, then I'm just scrolling it over here. So in case of the search input is provided, we'll just update the code and then try to check on this. Okay, let's check over here. So search, the value that we have been provided is something like this. So no data is available. So in case only A is provided, you can see that. So it's searching something like this. So let's search for something like ofunc, right? So just to make sure that this is working perfectly fine. So ofunc, you can see that it's searching from the email as well. So let's search by address. So let's try with this Maximiliana, something like this. Okay, you can see that it's when this value Maximilia is provided, you can see that the email is also been taken into the consideration, and the address also is taken into the consideration. So congratulations, by this you can see that you have already implemented different fields, like different functionalities like searching and the sorting, and the order of the sorting also has been implemented in the API level. So you can see that there are 3 data or the output for this particular thing, and the link is provided over here. The first page, last page, and the metadata which is required for the pagination is provided over here. So when the only something like AS is provided, you can see that there are lots of data. So you can see that there are how many data in this? There are something around 117 data, and then per page we are loading the 10 data, and then this is done. So I would like to show something to you, so which will be very useful in implementation of the front end. So we can make changes of the per page as well. Let's say the per page, currently we are taking this as per page 50, but we can make changes onto this as well. So you can see that we can pass a field as per_page, and which is page number 50, per page 50, which means that we want 50 data to be fetched during the data is fetched from the API. So you can see that per page it is still showing per page 10, because we have only made changes into the query of our URL, not in the code base. So let's work on this as well. So you can see that we are passing 10 as a static value. Instead of this, we can make some change on this like this. So let's pass a new field called per page, and this will be request input. It will be something like per_page, and if this exists, we'll be using the same. Otherwise, let's create a constant over here, making const per page is equal to 10, and then we can just try to get this as self per page, and then we can see that per page can be easily handled. So as you can see, that we had updated our query to accept 50 number of the data for particular pages. So let's try to refresh the data. So we can see that it has 50 items. So you can see that 50 is already changed over here, per page is the 50. And then also we can see that this is casted as string, but we do not want this to happen. Instead we want to make this something like instead of this, I don't know, okay, this is not allowed, but we can cast this to integer. So we can just cast this to integer and format our code. So let's try again. So I am a huge fan of type, so I want everything to be strictly defined like we do in the TypeScript or in the good OOP programming languages like Java and C#. So you can see that this problem is also fixed, and then we are able to get the data. We are able to change the pagination, and in case we do not provide this data, what happens is that by default per page 10 data is fetched, and then we want to make change on something like this as well. Current page is equal to 2. So in this case, the beauty of Tailor-12's Laravel is that it automatically handles our issue. I was thinking like that, but I don't think that it's current underscore page. It needs to be page. When this parameter page is provided, it automatically fetches the data for the page number 2, and then all these other metadatas are handled for us in free of cost. So that is the beauty of Tailor-12's Laravel. So thank you everyone for being with me. So in this part we just implemented API to simply fetch the data from the database, and then implement the sorting and the searching functionality, and along with that we have been able to implement the pagination using the API. In the upcoming video we'll be implementing Vue 3 to use the provided by default Vue.js to use options API to implement the DataTable component. So after that we will be implementing the composition API in the next video. So till then, see you. Thank you so much for your time.